Good morning, everybody. It's me, Teri Hunter. I've popped in a wee bit early. It's kind of funny when I pop in early, the live stream opens up very quickly. And if I try to start right at 11 a.m. Pacific time, it seems to get a delay. So, welcome everybody to my channel. Today is Sunday, Father's Day here in the United States, June 19th, 2022. And we're going to talk a little bit about the transits going on this week. I have done a solstice. Good morning, Juan. I've done a solstice video, which I think is super powerful this week because it has Venus, Mars, and Mercury all in their homes of rulership. So this is they're there now, but on the solstice, this is a very important and powerful energy. So I decided to do a separate video. So I wanted to talk about some other interesting things this week because in the United States, we know that the United States is having its natal Pluto return. And Pluto is in opposition in the United States chart to Mercury, which rules our neighborhoods, our communities, as well as our children and children of school age years. And we've seen a spike in the news of violence and criminal behavior. This is very interesting to me because in the transits, it's kind of like it's playing out there. We have Aries, which is I meant to look up, I believe it's an asteroid, but it is also a point, I think it's a female version of Aries, and it is making a square to Pluto right now as it's transiting Aries. We have Mars and Chiron conjunct almost in Aries. Gosh darn, I meant to grab my notes, and in my concern about not getting, oh, here we go. All right. So we have Chiron at 16 degrees Aries, and we have transiting Mars at 18 degrees Aries. As I recall, I looked up Aries, and it's at 26 degrees Aries. So this is a 2-degree orb square. The reason I bring all these things up today is because we're in the last little bit of Gemini. We're going to move into Cancer next week. And I feel as if this is really an opportunity to take the Gemini energy and to look at our mind. Where are we focusing? Because there's a lot of these things, while they're really upsetting and disturbing and out of balance, I believe that these transits are here to give us opportunities to walk through similar dynamics that we have in the past and make choices from a conscious and intentional place. In my meditations this week, I felt like Spirit has been just really reminding me that the goal, the attainment of money, the attainment of the relationship, the attainment of what we want appears to be the brass ring. But in hindsight, the human will usually look at the journey as the brass ring. They'll find more value in their tenacity than what they actually accomplished. And it also gives them an opportunity to balance the idea of fear and whether it's going to paralyze me and stop me or whether it's going to move me forward. Face everything and rise. False evidence appearing real. So I feel like this week, as we're about to go into the solstice and we're about to go into the Cancer season, how are we nurturing ourselves? How are we allowing, I started thinking again about, I'm like rewriting these planets in my head, okay? Because I'm taking everything I've learned and then I'm kind of rebelling against it. My Aries rising, and I have Uranus in Leo. So I'm feeling like not everything's the same. Everything evolves, including the planets. So I'm being inspired to stretch for that evolution, to look for that evolution. It's not to diminish or to dismiss what has been, but to build upon it. So I go back to the idea of, all right, So here I see these very, unconscious people will react without even knowing what they're doing in a way of like slapping somebody or hitting somebody or starting an argument or defending themselves. And I can't stop that role, but I can decide who and what I want to be at the end of that experience. And I feel like when all of us are more concerned with our own personal integrity, our own personal sense of, hey, I did a good job. I didn't succumb to that illusion and I didn't give into that old pattern. And I was willing to look a little bit deeper. I did a session for someone yesterday, and I have my natal Mars now squaring Pluto. I've just been through, and my ascendant, and my sun was as well. And I felt like this was asking me as an individual to be brave, Mars, to be courageous, Mars, to be a hero, Mars, in my own life by willing to dig deeper to my motivations about why I do things and how I perceive things. And I found myself really noticing how much of a warrior's mind I have back to the end of Gemini. This is an opportunity for us to master our awareness. I don't think we can change or stop that monkey mind, but I do think an awareness that it's there can sort of diffuse the life that is being given. And in that diffusing of that, zip, 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 then it opens a space for inspired action and inspired thoughts that will create inspired action. So I want to offer that this week because as we get closer and closer to Mars being conjunct 20 degrees Aries, we're going to see the United States being conjunct its actual natal Chiron. So there is a lot of wound that this country has that affects us here that live here, and then it affects the rest of the world as well. And while we can't really do anything about the outside world, we can be aware of our own intentions, of our own behaviors, our own true motivations, if we're willing to dig deeper and deeper and say, why am I fearful here? Why do I feel defensive here? Why do I want to bop that guy upside the head? Because I think there's going to be a lot of energy that feels that way. And it's just mirroring that energy isn't really going to help that. That's what I'm kind of trying to say. So I just wanted to kind of bring that into your awareness this week so that as you walk through that, and as we're coming up, because Pluto's going to be doing its little dance here for quite some time. And what I really believe is happening is that Pluto is asking from collective energies, because it rules the collective. And it also, because, it's a slow moving planet. And then within our own individual lives, where are we inadvertently holding on to thoughts or patterns or beliefs, or even trying to create value for others, and what does that dynamic really look like? Am I really being authentic in what I want, or am I somehow diminishing my power and giving it to somebody else? Pluto themes. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. And I want to say, I did a solstice video. So that's going to focus in more on the idea of what those three personal planets being in their domicile and how it will be very powerful for the co-creation of moving forward. And yes, happy Father's Day to everybody in the US. And that includes all our furry dads, meaning to fur babies, not them being furry themselves. Okay, so I think I'm going to jump right into our readings today. I'm going to try to be a little bit quicker as I have you have a 3-year-old running around. I want to say hi to everybody. I didn't get a chance to say hi to everybody. Hey, Tebow, good to see you in the house. Hi, Steven, CC Pups, Carrie, Les, I think I saw you up there. Let me go back a little bit. Dusk, good to see you. Natalia. Lammy girl, great to see you. Welcome. You're new. Hi, 145 Club. Okay, I said hi to everybody, I think, right now. All right, let's get into our readings. This is going to be our last reading, starting with Gemini. Next week, we'll start with Cancer. The new moon in Cancer is going to be on the 28th. I'll be doing a separate video for that as well. So here we go. For our Geminis, the first card, the tarot card, is the Empress. Wow, wow, wow. The Empress rules Venus. You can see Venus's symbol. You can see the heart underneath. She is an energy that has experienced enough of this co-creation is the word I want to use. I don't even want to marry her to the earthly plane because I feel like she has in some ways mastered dominion over her creation, and she now sits comfortably in her momentum of fertility. So I think for my Geminis this week, and I think this is interesting because you are the third house. This is the number 3. So and I can't help but think about the Trinity, and even the idea of co-creation, myself, another, and then the collective, because we're always working within a structure of some kind. So let's see how specifically this might come about for Gemini this week, because if indeed there has been some disruption as a result of the eclipses that we've experienced and what we're going through right now, and you find your third house matters are changing, third house matters being all Gemini, your everyday life, your work life in some ways. I know the sixth house rules it, but the teammates, the workmates, they're all coming up in that third house. So let's see. Oh, Jules, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you feel better soon. That sounds like it would be a lot of pressure in your head. Oof. Okay, Gemini, our first angel is Archangel Uriel. The second is Celeste. The third is Caressa. And the final is Daniel. I just got done saying that I think that this might be about third house matters, and then we see Celeste showing up in the opportunity or the obstacle. So there may be an opportunity for Gemini to actually shift their work environment or their home. Let's look and see. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I don't know, Jules, if I'm not a doctor and I'm not trying to play one on YouTube, but I find that when I'm out of balance physically, if I drink celery juice, even 4 ounces, 8 ounces, 16 ounces, I feel better because it starts to reduce the inflammation in my body. So, all right, let's see. Gemini, Archangel Uriel is being joined by the Love card. Celeste is being joined by the Horse. Caressa is being joined by the Owl. And Daniel's being joined by the Movement card. Okay, so Archangel Uriel always represents helping you deal with the energies of frustration, anger, and unforgiveness. And those energies, frustration, anger, unforgiveness, block your ability to feel spirit working for you, to feel how there is a divine energy that actually supports where you're putting your thought. Where you're putting your thought is where your focus is, which is what you will see when you're looking through your eyes. So this is an opportunity for Gemini, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums to start to think about, how do I actually receive? Do I receive in abundance effortlessly? Do I understand the ebb and the flow, the give and the take, the cause and effect, that everything has a cycle? Because when I look today and I see her through the reflection in the camera, I'm really noticing this yellow around her crown chakra, this is her power. Somehow she has managed to recognize the imprint of the monkey mind, and then she's able to sit in ease and let those thoughts flow through rather than hanging on to them. So Archangel Uriel is helping you to focus in on a higher vibration, that everything has a reason. And I want to offer it this way, because when we've been in frustration, and recently I was frustrated in a way that when I really dug deep, I realized it was self-imposed frustration because I was being very Aryan and imposing myself on another situation that wasn't inviting me in. Because what I want to say here is that I think that your frustration, Gemini, is blocking Spirit's ability to show you that there's a bigger picture coming. I believe that some of you will actually change positions, jobs, move up in your job. There'll be a shift in your work, but this is about accepting help and delegating authority. This is when I want to go back to an intuitive part of my mind. The opposite sign on the wheel is Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the connection to the angelic realm. So when on this axis, what we see is we get caught up in the everyday activities that we're trained to pay attention to, that we're trained to think are important, and that if they don't get done, the sky will fall. Now, Gemini is starting to say, you know what? Maybe that chasing that particular goal or endeavor is not really serving me in the way that I had originally thought it had. So I'm starting to realize that this is a give and take. I'm starting to recognize the imprint on my brain, and knowing that I can't change that imprint, I can now give life to something new, and inspiration can come in, because Gemini is most definitely coming upon the end of a chapter. And while you're going to go back and forth with this owl is about wisdom and deception. And I think on some level, if you have been frustrated in your job, Gemini, and you've been saying, oh, I just hate this place, I want something new, but you don't know what the new is, then that owl is going to be going back and forth like, oh, but I know I'm going to get this amount of money every week. And oh God, I have this vacation time accrued. And oh God, I have that in my 401k. Because Daniel's the angel of marriage, and there's the movement card. And I don't think this is about personal relationships right now. I think that there's movement away from your history in this partnership. Libra doesn't just represent love and marriage. She represents contractual partnerships. So two men or two women, or a man and a woman who are not lovers, but endeavored in a common goal, who have a written contract, would fall under that Libran energy. So I think that Daniel is really helping you move past your story in how you're valued at work, or what you're feeling about in your home. Because if you're not enjoying your neighborhood, or you're not enjoying living with your children anymore, or your children or you want to be closer to your children, it could be just the opposite. So I want to offer this. During this week, we know we're going to be having a summer solstice, and on the heels of the summer solstice, which always starts in the Cancer energy of the mother, of the nurturer. Now I want to take that Cancer energy, and I want to even go a little bit more deep with it, because I think when we think of Cancer as being the crab crawling sideways, it's when Cancer's not trusting their intuition. And they're so invested in what the outside people will think that it's messing with their own inner heart. So that's what I think is going to happen a little bit for Gemini now. So I hope that makes sense for you. I want to really encourage you on the 21st to take your time and really set I guess what I want to say is sort of set an exciting intention, something that you're looking to grow. And some of you may be in the southern hemisphere and experiencing winter. And I don't think that this really changes that idea, because as we go into the winter solstice, we're allowing for whatever isn't serving us to go into hibernation, to die in some ways, and allow for new growth. So Gemini, I think this is about sitting back a little bit more in ease, about paying attention to your mind without judgment, without ridicule, without shame, and noticing if your thoughts are actually serving you, or if you are. Yes, and Venus will be moving into Gemini, but before she does that, we're going to have that summer solstice when she's at 28 degrees Taurus. That's another mind degree for me. And an opportunity to really anchor in 28 degrees is the Cancer degree. So this is about anchoring in that intuition over the imprint that the monkey mind seems to dominate. Okay, let's go on to our Cancers. Hello, let me say that right. Viuda Negra. La Viuda Negra. Welcome to the room, everybody. Welcome, Natasha Fleury. Did I say hi to everybody? I think I did. Don't want to miss anybody. Okay. All right. So the new story and how I'm doing this, for those of you that either haven't seen my show before or missed a couple of episodes, I have decided now to start the broadcast with the month and the new moon that it is. So we've been doing Gemini first. Next week, we'll start with Cancer first. We'll go through the Cancer season, and then we'll start with Leo and go that way. This is my Libra trying to be fair, really, really fair, digging deeper. All right, what's our tarot card for our Cancer? Look at this, the High Priestess. My goodness gracious, if this isn't so apropos for this particular moment in time. You know, I really think that this is an opportunity for Cancer to start to dig deeper into this idea of my gut instinct. Many of you may not think you're intuitive, but anytime you're ruled by an emotion and the moon is emotional, you will be intuitive by nature. And we are anyway. But I would like to offer it this way, because as you're going through this week and you're seeing, because you're so emotive that you could even watch the news or scroll Yahoo and see all of these things, or even the Nextdoor app can be, oh God, so much. Because I want to offer it this way. I feel like the High Priestess is really asking and offering to Cancer to go into their intuition. And this feels like it's a two-step process, because the first layer feels like it's like almost a worry layer, or a layer where you think you're tapping into your intuition, but you're still a little bit up here. And now it's about allowing a little bit more of a surrender. And I want to offer this too, because when I look at the High Priestess, the pomegranates all around from her heart chakra up, we see a few of them back here around her sacral chakra, but we really see most of them up here around her mind and around the idea that there's a moon right on her third eye. So I really want to offer this idea. And I even want to say to my Cancers, rising moon, sun, and stelliums, I want you to think about this week potentially using the medium of automatic writing, maybe sitting down and just having a pencil, not necessarily a hard point pen, or something that has a rolling feel, and just letting whatever, you could even just draw squiggles, but allowing that movement or whatever words or symbols come through to start to help you connect in a new way. Because I do think that inadvertently Cancer might connect with spirit initially in a worry vibration. Let's see where we're going with this. Welcome, Bora Bora 333. All right, here we go. Our first angel for Cancer, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums is Sonia. The second is Archangel Uriel. The third is Aurora. And the final is Isabella. Sonia is being joined by the king. Archangel Uriel is being joined by the owl. Aurora is being joined by the hawk. And Isabella is being joined by Merlin. Sonia in this deck represents connecting with a loved one, a deceased loved one. Here, I don't think so. I think this is your team. I think this is akin to the High Priestess, and that is the karmic and just time for you to start to transform the crab from being vulnerable in fear to feeling powerful in their ability to know the unknown. And I want to offer it this way, because not The unknown is a trust that you are in a baton pass with the universe, that when you can't see things happening, it doesn't mean nothing is happening. And your job is to hold steady in your vibration of the high priestess. And if for some reason you get a wobble and you get unsure, then your connection to spirit and saying, Spirit, I'm feeling a little insecure right now. I see the money in my bank and I know it's not enough to take care of what I need. So please help me get over my own insecurities. Because here is the owl and Archangel Uriel. And this is where I think that Archangel Uriel is helping Cancer make sense of the journey of fear, of insecurity, of unknowing. Because when we walk through a situation where we don't know what's going to happen and we really feel like, oh my gosh, all the worst case scenarios get played out in our head. And then it doesn't happen that way. It happens somewhere else. And it happens in a way that we could not have even expected. And we're like, oh my gosh, that is where the real pearl, where the real gift, where the real excitement happens. Because in the angel's advice, Cancer, we have Aurora saying, you're flying high right now, don't descend, because you will soon inspire others and set an example for them, because you rose above the situation and you were busy looking for the signs and omens when you were in that unsure place. What's going to happen? Because in the final position is Merlin and Isabella saying, yes, the timing is right. A happiness is awaiting you. And here is Merlin offering balance and another area of justice. Justice to me is in this particular situation, karmically, I am making a choice to work or to hold space for what is most important to me. I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I know it's going to happen. And so while I sit in my human body and feel ever so slightly unsure of myself, and I'm starting to waver, then I engage spirit with intention and say, thank you for giving me those signs and omens. It was funny. I mentioned a few weeks ago that I'd asked spirit to show me a blue balloon if I was in alignment with my goals. And not only did I see the blue balloon, but I had mentioned the story to a client, and my client called me to tell me they saw a blue balloon. So it was very funny how the ripple effect went, because inadvertently, even though that was my sign, it also represented a sign for that person because they were able to connect to it. So that's where I'm going with Cancer, because I think if you start kind of playing a game with yourself, simple things, you could do the parking space thing, you could do a blue balloon, you could do a red feather, whatever suits you. And then start to pay attention as the universe comes together to give you those signs and those omens. And I think you'll start to feel stronger about your intuition. Okay, let's go on to our lions, our Leo lions. Did I say good morning to you, Small? I don't even think I did. How rude of me. Good morning, Miss Small Wildflowers. Good morning, Arthur Space. I always love it when I see you in the chat, because my grandfather's name was Arthur and I loved him very, very much. And so I always feel like when you come in the room, there's a little sign from him coming in too. Okay, let's see, lions. What is, all right, here is the Seven of Swords. Now, this is an interesting card, because for me, it does represent that cardinal energy. So it's going to be the cardinal air, which is Libra. And we see this sort of having to leave something behind, going your own way, feeling a need to sneak out. His posture is a little bit shady, but I want to offer it this way. I think that this may be how people, let's see what the spread says, but I think that people you may have to, Libra, I want to say this. This is for Leo, but this has a Libra energy to it. So I think on some level, it may be where you are taking 5 of those swords out of the 7 with you. And I think that there's something about this that's saying that people may not see the balance in what you're doing, and you're going to have to be happy about the changes that you make in the way you're thinking. And this is a card of going your own way. It's a little bit of a lone soldier card. And I want to offer it this way because, Leo is a fixed sign. And in that, I feel like too, there's a little bit of this, the two behind, that really makes me think, Leo, when you're leaving those two behind, what are they actually? And I think that question is meant to be a question, like being more deciphering how you're moving forward and what you're taking away with you in the way of thoughts. When I think of the number 5, I always kind of think of a freedom number. It's breaking the square, and it's kind of shooting the 5-pointed star. So there's something about, and the 2 could even be representing leaving some sort of cooperation behind, or some sort of commingling behind that wasn't really serving me. And this character kind of gets a little bit of a bad rap for being selfish, but I think that he has to do that, otherwise he's just going to make everybody miserable. So let's see, Leo, where you have to maybe leave behind some commingling and give yourself some freedom. And you may feel like you have to do this fast and furious. Our first angel for Leo, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. You're at the end of a life cycle. New happiness awaits you. Boy, Archangel Uriel's come up in every spread. There's Rosetta, the children, and then finally Ray. Leo rules children, rules the conception of children. Gemini rules the teaching of young children. So this is interesting because I just got like such the chills. Okay, I don't know if this is the case or not, but if you're getting some authority, Leo, somebody telling you something that is not resonating with what's in your heart about how you're going about certain things, you may have to go rogue on them. Okay. There's the love card joining Caressa. There's Archangel Uriel joining the Lady of the Lake. I'm sorry, the Lady of the Lake joining Archangel Uriel. The joy card is joining Rosetta. And the final is the King joining Ray. This is what I want to say. I feel as if all of a sudden I got this feeling that these 2 swords being left behind is some sort of cooperation with authority, with the community, with what doesn't resonate with me anymore. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little story. I don't know that this is necessarily health related, but if it has anything to do with Leo's body, the conception for females with males, no different. Anything to do with your body. Because I had an authority, a doctor tell me that I had an abscess that I could not deal with. I had to go to the doctor. It was always going to be a problem. It was going to cause my body constant stress. And I didn't like what that doctor was telling me. It did not ring true to me. And I'd already gone to him for one abscess. And all of a sudden I have another one. It made me feel like, what's going on here? I'm not saying he made them happen, but something was not in his hands. It was in my hands. And I walked away from that. I did not follow his suggestion. I'm not telling you not to listen to your doctors. I'm telling you to listen to yourself, because I think somehow you will be freed from something when you're not working in balance or cooperation with something that doesn't sit true to you. Now we have the love card and Caressa saying you're at the end of a life cycle, new happiness awaits you. And honestly, I don't know if I think that love is about something else or outside of yourself, but more of a trusting of your heart. What we know about Leo is it rules the heart and the spine. The spine, Leo rules courage, and so does Aries. These things overlap, and Leo rules the heart. So one of the biggest challenges for the Leo is to trust the heart. So this is where I feel like there is an opportunity for you to be empowered by something that resonates inside. So I kind of want to put it this way. If for some reason there's an authority of some kind telling you you must do something, I'm not saying you don't have to do it. I'm just saying that if you think there's something that's more authentic to your truth, try that first. Try it first. When my doctor told me that, I had to have the operation, I was like, all right, fine, whatever. The abscess removed, the root canal, whatever it was. The second time I was like, you know what? And I went and looked up the medical medium, and he happened to have a protocol for an abscess and the celery juice and the whole bit. And I did it. I didn't do it well, but I did it. The abscess is gone, and it has been gone for like 6 months now. So I trust it because this is anger and frustration. And here's my truth. Leo, there's a storm being had as the Lady of the Lake holds to her truth. I'm saying if I had not had success, I would have gone to the doctor, but I had success. And I want to offer it this way because I believe that the disempowerment of the human body is on the docket for rebalancing. So I think for Leo, it's time to connect with your heart and do what gives you joy. And I want to really offer you the idea of digging deeper into what that is and if you're trusting your heart or not. Because when I look here at Ray, I don't see yoga as being prominent in this card. I see meditation. I see my power comes from trusting my heart and my connection to spirit. And now we see justice coming up. So I feel as if somehow walking away from some sort of authority, somebody who has dominion over you or a situation that appears to have dominion over you, it's not about trying to knock that over, but about allowing yourself a privilege of a journey of empowerment. And to also know that if indeed for some reason you're not feeling successful, because I don't want you to put your health in jeopardy, but the body is extremely powerful. And I'm just quickly going to say remind you of one story. I believe it was either typhoid or yellow fever, and I really need to get that. It might have been both, actually. But when I was in Savannah a few years ago, we were on this tour, and they told us about how people would go into a coma because they were had these viruses, and the people thought they were dead, so they buried them. And they were burying so many bodies a day that the grave diggers were literally going to bury one body and hearing people banging on their inside their coffins. They'd been buried alive. They had been left in the coffin for weeks at a time with no food, no water, no interventions of any kind. The body course corrected, came out of the coma. And what the grave digger did was he ended up tying a string to the toe of the deceased or supposed deceased, stringing up through the ground and putting it on a bell. And when the person shook their foot, it would ring the bell and they'd dig them out. So that's where the saying "saved by the bell" came from. So somehow this is where Leo gets to go ahead and trust a bigger picture of empowerment. And I don't know why I'm going to your physical body. If you're trying to have children and you've been told that there's a situation, maybe we need to just relax and have a little bit of fun instead of going through a whole arduous. Think about focus again. Think about our mind creates things. So, all right, let's go on to our Virgos, rising, moon, sun, or stelliums. Good to see Tebow in the room. Haven't seen him there in a long time. Hi, CJD. Good to see you. Oh, Stephen, I can imagine and how loud it is too, the noise level of 20 children. Whew. When I was younger, I used to say that, like, how do people get old and don't enjoy children anymore? And I'm like, oh God, I turned into one of those old people that doesn't like noise anymore. Okay, Virgo. Our tarot card is the Nine of Swords. This is a card of worry. And I want to offer it this way because there is no threat in this card. This is a projection of some kind, something this guy, he's not able to see. The monkey mind has run amok. If we look at the swords, they are all placed evenly. They look almost as if they're supporting each other. We see the pillow is our power, the yellow of our power chakra. We see the pomegranates here, which I believe are giving him an opportunity. You are fine, rest, everything is going to be okay, but he can't see because he's covered his eyes. So this is where I think that the imprint, and we know that Mercury rules the mind. And this is where I want to offer, because I really think that at this juncture, Mercury wants to expand as well. Mercury wants to start to be thought of as a connector and more dominant in that way versus just spewing information. I recently have been sort of viewing Mercury as not being deciphering the information that it's spewing, on Twitter, blah, 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 these things. Twitter's very Virgonian and very mercurial. I shouldn't say Virgonian, I should say mercurial. It's more Gemini, really. But my point is because I think this is about slowing down and being aware again of a pattern of thought. This is a 9. The 9 is an opportunity to come to the conclusion of a cycle. And this is not about trying to stop the worry. It's more about being able to identify an imprint of thought. I have this very strong imprint of thought that friends, lovers, and anybody that I'm in a social setting with at some point will say, "You got this. I love you. Gotta go." Because everybody always leaves me. This is an imprint on me. And as much as I'm conscious of it, it's still imprinted and branded as if I'm a cow on a farm, a ranch. So I think that this is an opportunity for Virgo to look at, are you inadvertently playing to the imprint? Okay. I think when we get into these, when I've really connected in, I think, a powerful way with what I deemed the lower energies, or when I deem the challenging dynamics, there's a part of me that would like them never to be there. Oh, I wish there was never a challenge. I wish I never felt poor. I wish I never felt unloved. But it's really, that is the seedling for feeling loved, for feeling powerful. It is truly the journey of awareness that is the ascension. Bora Bora 333, I don't actually go in order. So what I did is I'm starting with the month, with the sign of the month now. So it's the Gemini. We're in Gemini right now. So I started with Gemini, and I will go all the way around to Taurus. Next week, I'll start at Cancer and then come all the way around to Gemini. This is my Libra sun trying to find balance and not always doing what all the astrologers do, which is start at Aries and end at Pisces. So that's where I'm going. Thank you, Arthur Space. Okay, let's see, Virgo, what we're doing with this 9 of Swords. Where might that worry? Because if I also want to point this out. Can you see the little characters underneath? Almost look like they're battling. That to me is very that orange color and that red color. Somehow my securities, my base chakra and my sacral chakra, and there's an unconscious battle going on that's creating worry. Let's look and see where that could be. Because, when I think about the idea of one planet ruling multiple signs, then I'm starting to think of what's the what differentiates it. Why don't we have 11 signs in the zodiac and just lump Gemini and Virgo together? Because they process things differently. And these are the subtleties that we inadvertently miss when we're always, dropping the key words of these planets. Information, communication, blah, blah, blah. Sorry, I'm a weirdo. Okay, Archangel Michael is asking Virgo to have courage. Fiona is saying, now that you've asked God and the angels for help, be open to receiving guidance. Isaiah is saying to give life to new ideas and new situations. And Rosetta is coming up again, which is a childlike innocence in this case. So let's look. Virgo, Archangel Michael is being joined by the Grail Knight. Fiona is being joined by the Wind Fairy. Isaiah is being joined by the Protection card. And Rosetta is being joined by the Frog. Okay, this is what I'm going to go to with the Grail Knight, because when I see, hi Lucy Rose, welcome to the room. When I see your tarot card being the Nine of Swords this week, the Grail Knight will represent illusion. And this is Archangel Michael asking you to have the courage not to condemn, not to succumb, but to honor your truth amongst illusion. Because I want to offer this, when people think this table is solid, it's an illusion, because this is a bunch of dense molecules pushed together to create what appears to be solid. So knowing that, I think this is an opportunity, because the Wind Fairy is here for you now that you've asked God and the angels for help. Be open to receiving. And then there's the Wind Fairy. You kind of are worrying a little bit. Virgo, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. So this is an opportunity for you not to condemn your mind, not to try to figure out where you're going or what's going to happen, but to realize that, Spirit has the baton and I'm waiting for that inspired thought, that inspired action. And I'll know it's inspired because it'll feel good. It'll feel right. Because here is Isaiah saying, Virgo, you're being protected. And I want to say this too, because you rule health and you rule employment. And so often we find ourselves enslaved to our paycheck and really not enjoying it. So this idea, the 38 reduces down to an 11. We're seeing a strong theme of the mind here. The mind. And again, I want to offer this. You are imprinted from the time you are like an embryo. Look how pretty my baby is in the sonogram. Oh, I got to be pretty. Look how smart my little one is. Look at what a good baby you are. Oh, it's very, to realize this is to give yourself a break. Okay. To know that you're unraveling so much more than you realize, because for Virgo, this is all about a childlike play. And whatever you think is play, not what other people think is play. And I can't help but think a nap is playtime for me as a grown-up. So the Frog is offering cleanup, the release, the cleaning of my house. The house is the mind energetically. So here, this is your solution. If you are worried about something, go have fun. Do the crossword puzzle, take a walk, and then say to Spirit, I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried. Oh, that's so funny, Juan. See how people start before the baby's even born. They're starting, to imprint on the baby. It's not negative. It's just a human experience. It's what we do. It's how we understand the contrast by putting things in areas that we can understand them. The thing about it too is not to trap it there. That's what I want to say. It's more about allowing it to breathe, to grow there, because everything is growing. So here, as some illusions are being, you're having the courage to see them. And as you know that part of this is you're giving Spirit an opportunity to inspire you. And that inspiration is going to feel warm and fuzzy and connected and in some ways making you feel that sense of security. And I think a lot of it is going to release you. Look, we're going into the summer solstice in the Northern Hemisphere. The summertime is known as the time of fun, outdoor activities, romance. So I think this is an opportunity. A lot of people like romance. That's why I throw that in there. But I really want to offer that for Virgo. If you're having worry, put the worry aside. If you like to golf, go golf. You want to go to a movie? Go to a movie. Allow it to break up and be gentle with yourself as you do. Okay. Let's go on to our Libras. Did I make it clear how I'm going in order now? Okay, because I'm throwing everybody off because they're used to how everything is always done. So this is a little bit Teri being Pluto square Mars. My deeper truth is I want everybody to feel seen and recognized. And that's why I don't want to always start at Aries and go to Pisces. And I used to always go from Pisces to Aries, but then that started to feel out of balance. So I'm actually not Uranian, I'm Armenian. Half Armenian, half Scottish. Cuckoo on both sides. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Okay. All right, here we go, Libra. You have the Queen of Cups. I love this. This is such a, oh, she's Uranus. Oh, is that what you meant? I'm sorry. I thought you meant Ukrainian. That's the way I saw it, not Uranian. I'm so funny and silly. Okay, I am Uranus. I really am. Okay, so Libra, the Queen of Cups. I want to offer this. The Queen of Cups to me right now is sort of speaking into this little bit of I just want to put it like, I just want you to feel love. I want you to feel like, I want you to look for love. I want you to look for fun. I want you to look for what is joyous. I was sitting here yesterday and noticing the imprint on my Libra sun mind. And I have a view of the ocean, and I've got a new table coming. Anyway, and I was excited because the table's going to sit up a little bit and I'll be able to see the ocean more. And then I sort of realized that I've been having a little bit of trouble with Saturn working me over and being on my Chiron. And that Chiron is in opposition to Uranus in my natal chart. So I want to offer this. I feel like this is an opportunity for Libra to start to focus in on how full the cup is, and that cup can be replenished at any time, because water flows, love flows, and it's all about, and I love the sea glass. There's jewels at your feet, Libra, somehow. And I guess I feel like maybe you're not doing that. So let's see what Spirit has to say. Saturn is exalted, Ruth. It might be exhausted too, but it's exalted in Libra. Oh, I hope autocorrect is having fun today. It looks like it is. I've really been thinking about Saturn as Coach Boone, and it's funny because when I try to give some of the other planets one character to identify to, I can't do it as easily. And I started to go, and then I realized, oh, Saturn is a slow moving father time energy, endurance. No wonder Coach Boone fits him so well, where the other ones are, they change and they morph, and they're more obviously multifaceted. So yeah, I think that's funny. Okay, here we go. I think that Saturn might be exhausted in Libra as well as that. That's so funny. Okay, Libra, let's see what the Queen wants you to know. Okay. The Queen is being charged by Archangel Michael to come with some courage. Teresa's about worry. Isabella is about saying, yes, time is right for something to shift. And Oceana now we have Oceana and the Queen of the Ocean sitting here. All right, so let's see where we're going with this. Because, Libra too, to me, I'm a Libra sun, and my makeup doesn't look on the face of my chart all that intuitive. At least it doesn't to me. But when I look at what's in my 8th house of Scorpio, and then I look at some of my house cusps, I get it. And I also think Pluto has a lot to do with intuition that we don't talk about. So, or we haven't talked about it because we're too busy focused on the criminal aspect of Pluto. All right. Where is your intuition being stoked, Libra, rising moon, sun, and stelliums? In the transformation that's happening on this planet. The Death card just showed up. Teresa and the Burden card are here. Isabella and the Protection card. Oceana and the Dragon. All right. This is what I want to, I'm so fascinated by weird stuff lately. I got to tell you. So I know this is going to seem really random and weird, but last night I had this weird pull to go look at Ray Liotta's natal chart. I don't know why, but I did. And I'll tell you, I could actually see through the transits him passing away. Now, I'm not saying this because we're all going to pass away, but I feel like some of the people that are crossing over, Bob Saget, some of the things we're seeing with these mass shootings, this crescendo that's coming could be breaking Libra's heart. It could be making Libra more than anything feel so torn up about the unfairness of this world right now, of how random people are just trying to live their lives and they're being, targeted or victimized by these random acts of violence. I feel like this is an opportunity, Libra, for you to see that balance is not just two scales, but the scale of dark and light. And in order for there to be balance, sometimes we have to get very impassioned by what's happening. So here is Archangel Michael asking Libra to have courage to walk through this transformation. The ascension is not, we're not going to be flying around as 3D holograms. The ascension is choice. The ascension is awareness. The ascension, I'm sorry to hear that, Aurora. Star 3312. I'm so sorry to hear that. That's very, very heartbreaking. But I want to offer this because this is somehow we have to understand that, well, I don't believe that death is really death. There is the loss of the physical body, absolutely. But I believe this is a transformation. This is Pluto asking us to be more courageous in seeing a wisdom behind all of this. Because naturally the human does not move until they're very uncomfortable in a situation. And I think that Libra, I don't watch the news very much. I do see the headlines on Yahoo. You kind of can't miss them. But the amount of mass shootings, the amount of random violence right now in my country is beyond. And it inflames me. And in that inflammation, I want to exterminate those bad people. And then I would just be being the bad person too, being a Libra sun. So yes, I understand the burden and worry of everything that's going on right now. But I want you to know that yes, the timing is right to focus on our happiness. And this protection is not just personal protection, but a ripple effect that helps other people align. I've been watching Magnolia Network for a while. I really like the Gaines's material, the content they're putting out. And the other day I saw a commercial and Joanna had her roller skates on in the kitchen. And this woman is glowing again. And I can't help but notice that when she speaks of the things and focuses towards what makes her happy. She focuses towards things that are fun and she steps into that vibration. And I feel like it's important for Libra and for all of us to understand that there's a wisdom to this breaking up of nonsense right now. And if we could just focus in on our own individual happiness, that would send a ripple effect. Because here is where your power and strength lies, is in your connection to your emotional body and your spiritual body, and to seek the wisdom and the balance that is being perpetrated by what appears to be imbalance. I remember when I was younger, when the Olympics, terrorists had taken over the Olympics when Ronald Reagan was in office, and I think it was like 1980. And I remember calling my stepmother, crying, telling her the world was coming to an end. Oh my God, I was so freaked out. And it made me, on a personal level, not want to chase my dreams. It made me think that I should just shut down and give up. The world's a shit show, pardon my language. So why should I try? Don't give up. Let's change this vibration by first starting here. Be the change, but not for anybody else, but for yourself. And that's what I think, Libra. I think this is a real time to dig deeper, to see the wisdom, and to step into your connection, your natural, energetic connection to everything that is. Every plant, every rock, every person, every planet out in the sky, every star you cannot see. We are connected to them all on a vibrational level. And there is a wisdom. And I recently, as I'm shuffling, I'm going to go on to Scorpio, but there was a post on my Nextdoor app about somebody who turned an Akita in. Of course, the husky, it was a husky. And of course, it was going to die in 2 hours because the people had to move. And it made me so angry. So you move and you put your dog on death row. Who the hell are you? And as I saw myself, my blood pressure, everything in me wanting to just rage against the machine of this, that this is okay. Why is this okay? And animal abuse isn't okay. Anyway, so you see how I get worked up? Libra sun here. We are not going to get anywhere getting that worked up. We have to hold space that dog, by the way, that dog lived and was rescued. But if that dog did enough to make an awareness, we get to start to put out a vibration that this will be balanced. Because if we start to war against something, we will only create war. All right, Scorpio. Your tarot card this week is the Page of Pentacles. Now, this is normally considered the infusion of money. But for some reason, when I pulled this, as I turned the card over, I felt like something you're trying to endeavor is going to start to reveal itself in the material world. And your job is to stay connected to this very idea. Something you're creating is coming into the material world. Let's see what that is. You know, Lucy Rose, there is a energy, that the dark side, yes, likes you to get caught up and pay attention to it. It feeds off that in some way, but so does the light. Wherever we put energy, we feed on it. So when I think about if I'm putting energy on something that doesn't serve me, what does that energy look like? Because being indignant about it isn't very good. I've got to realize that everything is neutral. It's one of the universal laws. Humans assign value to it. Because when we look at those quote unquote negative situations, it gives us a choice. So when I was thinking about the husky, I don't have the choice personally to go rescue the dog because I'm not going to put Lucky at jeopardy. But what I can do is be really good to my dog and send loving vibrations for all the dogs that are illuminating the imbalance. And whatever you can put that formula into any genre and it works. So Scorpio, what are you bringing into the material world? Yvonne, my angel of vulnerability. Aurora, my angel of saying that I'm actually rising above a pattern. Caressa saying that we're at the end of a life cycle. And Rosetta is that childlike innocence. Okay, here we go. Having Pluto squaring so many of my planets, and I've talked about it for freaking years now because he's been squaring my sun, my moon, and my ascendant, not my moon, my Mars, sorry, and floating around all those points. So, I couldn't help at 62 but think, oh God, is something bad going to happen to me? And my guides started to laugh at me. They're like, nothing is happening to you that you don't intuitively, energetically agree to. And what I have agreed to is to live to be in my 90s. So heart attacks run in my family. Am I going to think I'm going to have a heart attack because Mars and Pluto are squaring? No, I'm thinking that they work cooperatively in Scorpio. They both co-rule Scorpio to act as an excavator for the truth. So if I'm working at the higher vibrations of Mars, the hero, and of Pluto being the phoenix rising from the ashes, then this is about being vulnerable to a deeper knowing. Let's see. Because Scorpio is very intuitive. There's the Queen joining the vulnerability of Yvonne. There is the High Priestess with Aurora. There is Caressa giving you a cleansing of your mind. And there is the Stag joining Rosetta. That is awesome. Okay. So this is what I want to say. Scorpio oftentimes will talk about being intense and being, you kind of picture the guy with the dark eyes that kind of scares you a little bit, but you're drawn to him at the same time. You picture, obviously sexual, children, pornography, drug traffic, not drug. Oh, I can't get the words out of my mouth. There's a lot of sex trafficking going on right now. People talking about all those dark parts of Pluto. Now I want to say this. I want to talk to the high vibration of my Scorpios who are actually here in that strength of Pluto to change the world, and not to do it because you're pointing your finger at anybody else, but you're learning how to have power and control over yourself and your thoughts and what you know on an intuitive level. And rather than manipulating others in a dark place, now you're starting to stand in the light, because Yvonne is telling me that Scorpio is standing in an opportunity to receive. And not just to receive materially, but to see how their thoughts create things, and those things are starting to anchor into the material world. And in doing so, there's magic afoot, because the high priestess is here. This is this insane intuition. I honestly think Scorpio might be, for me, the most intuitive sign, because it is so materially focused. It's a kind of weird, crazy feeling for me, but it's like, billionaires come out of Scorpio. Chip Gaines is a Scorpio. Joanna Gaines is an Aries sun. I see this is those planets transformed. So now, Scorpio, I'm kind of excited to see your intuition, what you know, the magic inside of your intention is starting to be created in the physical world, because you're starting to master your thoughts. And if you aren't mastering them, you're starting to learn how to leap off of one instead of hanging on to it. Because in the final position, we have Rosetta and we have the stag. And I think this is the true leadership that Scorpio represents, because now, rather than villainizing a situation or being villainized, you're starting to trust the children believe in magic. Children believe, and they're so much closer to the truth of who they are as a soul than they are in their human body. So when you're vulnerable to, everything you want will come through your intuition, through your invitation to receive without resistance. To understand, to try to control a situation is actually stifling it in some way. So as you open up your body and you say, I don't need to take action to make it happen, but rather to allow for things to open up and then take inspired action. I'm sorry, I just got distracted, Jenny B. It is wild to realize how many Scorpio suns are in politics, but look at it this way. The South Node is going through Scorpio right now. This is going a point where the universe is offering these world leaders an opportunity to be egoless in their leadership. And rather than going for power and dominance, as we have in old ways, to go truly for what is best for all. So, and I'm going to say straight up, our president of the United States has a 12th house Scorpio stellium. There you go. Bada bing, bada boom. I'm not going to say anything more on that. I really, what we don't, Lucy Rose, you couldn't have said anything more succinct, because we have beliefs we don't even recognize that we have, because we've had them for so long. It's part of the imprint on the brain. And the more we seek those Plutonian dynamics, because this is what I can't have a frivolous thought anymore. I just don't have them. And so when something comes up and it feels not so fun, I'm digging. Why? Where? What do I believe about the situation? And as I get to those deeper levels, that's when I'm freer. Okay, let's go on to our Sagittarius. Oh, right. This is a big one. This is a very, very spiritual energy, this 8 of Cups. The character is walking away from something that is balanced but not balanced. This person has chosen to move on in some ways, to seek higher ground for themselves. And when I see that higher ground, I don't think of it again as above and below in the sense of high is good and below is bad. It's just more about perception and perspective. As I leave what is not necessarily working for me, it's working on some level, but it's not filling me. My cups don't feel full here. In fact, we don't even see anything in these cups. And that might be part of the problem, is that it looks balanced, but it's not. Let's see where this is going, Sagittarius. Rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Athena. The second is Yvonne. The third is Xana. And the final is Caressa. Something is ending, Sagittarius. I don't know what it is just yet, but it's going to bring a new chapter that's much more aligned to what you want. Well, Lucy Rose, I think that Eight of Cups might be confusing because we know the cups represent our emotional body. And sometimes the outside world will say, everything is great. Look what you have. You have a big house. You have a nice car. Your husband makes good money. What's your problem? Aren't you happy? And you're not. That's just an example. Doesn't necessarily mean it's true. Athena is being joined by the forgiveness card. Yvonne is being joined by the owl. Xana is being joined by the dog. And Caressa is being joined by the frog. Are we seeing a little theme here? I've seen the frog quite a bit. Archangel Gabriel quite a bit. So Athena is saying it's safe for you to lovingly assert yourself. And then there's the forgiveness card, which is a reconciliation. So I don't know that I think that Sagittarius is walking away from a person or a situation, but it may be something that emotionally had fulfilled them at one point, but maybe it doesn't rock your boat the same anymore, because there is the owl, which represents deception and wisdom, one coin, two sides, good news, bad news. And then there's the vulnerability. And as we all grow, as we all, evolve into new versions of ourselves, sometimes those aren't always really good versions. Recently, I had a conversation with a friend of mine who I care about very much. And yet this person is making choices that are ruining their life. And they are doing it in such a consistent manner and posting it on Facebook. And I had to call this person the other day and say, I can no longer interact with you because I can't watch this, because intuitively, I think this person is going to end up killing themselves. I don't know that they're going to do this, but their behaviors are acting in such a way that is very, very worrisome to me. So I had to walk away from this friendship right now because Sagittarius, this is the love card. This is the dog, unconditional love, loyalty, and sincerity. And this is the card of protection. And I wonder if you've been protecting somebody, or you've been protecting a relationship that isn't serving you. I don't know that friendships have to end, but I also know that I cannot be an authentic friend and enable someone else to continue to lie to me, to leave out very important information that makes them responsible for their condition. Because Caressa is offering new happiness as the end of this chapter takes place. And this is the cleaning up again. Jumping from one lily pad to another cleans up your emotional body. It unburdens you somehow. So I think for my Sagittariuses, something is coming up where you may have to temporarily walk away from something because it isn't serving you and it won't serve the other situation either. Because as you lovingly assert yourself, something will come into balance. And this is interesting because the conversation I had with this friend, I felt like I got a little Aries on him. And when I did that, uh, I was hoping that the love would be seen through the conversation, but I could not go back to a soft energy because this person would not get the impact I was trying to leave. And the next morning, I got a text with a thank you for the conversation. So while I don't like having to be that strong in my way of being, I felt like maybe I scared them straight. I don't know. I don't know. So, but in any case, this doesn't have to be permanent. I don't want you to feel like it feels more like maybe some, it's kind of like the thing when I'm going to use the addiction as an example. When somebody's addicted to something, you can feel sorry for them. They have their ups and their downs, but ultimately, sometimes you have to walk away from that person who's addicted because they're not going to fix themselves. All right. So let's go on to our Capricorns, our little goaty goats. Elvis Presley died. Didn't that happen a long time ago in 1977? I think I remember that. Okay. Well, this is exciting for my little Capricorns. The Lovers. Kind of fun, huh? But let me tell you, this Lovers card is deceiving. I know when I was younger and this card would come up, every girl I know would get excited. Oh, I'm going to get a boyfriend. I'm going to get a boyfriend. I'm going to get a boyfriend. No, this is about choice. This is a Gemini energy, actually. So we see the characters are naked, standing full throttle with everything exposed. This is about vulnerability, and it's about making the choices from a place of vulnerability, allowing the baby goat to really open their body up and say, you know what, while I have been known to do things I don't really like, I'm going to start putting myself on the highway of things I do like. So when I have to do things I don't like, it's still palatable to me. Okay, so let's see where the choice is coming, because it could be about love. Let's see. Let's see where this choice is. The anti-mame card. Oh my gosh, Stephen. I don't even know how many people. Would anybody know who anti-mame is? That's an old movie. Old movie. All right. Capricorn. Azure, your desired outcome will occur in the very near future. Have patience and faith and don't try to force it. Ariel is a spiritual connection and changing the way you view things. You're not as old as me, Stephen. Shanti is the angel of peace, yay, yay. And Xana, the angel of protection. Mm-hmm. I've been feeling a big transformation in my goats. And this is really why I loved doing that video talking about Saturn being Coach Boone, because it felt like me writing a love letter to Saturn, because I don't want Saturn to get such a bad rap anymore. I know he was an asshole for a while, but I don't know that he still is. So. No, that was not the Beverly Hillbillies show. How funny. Azure is being joined by the swan. Ooh, ooh. Ariel's being joined by the birth and the rebirth card. Oh my goodness, so fabulous. Shanti's being joined by the cow. And Xana's being joined by the fire fairy. This is really fun for my Capricorn. Rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Okay, so here we're talking about a little bit of vulnerability and choice, okay? And now we're seeing Capricorn. We're seeing you go from from the ugly duckling to the swan, and trusting a deeper part of your knowing. This is where Capricorn is becoming more aware and more seen in an emotional way. And I don't mean it in a negative emotional way. I mean it in a positive way. in sort of this, because as you're saying, your desired outcome will happen in the near future. Have patience and faith and don't try to force it. And I can't help but think about, the idea that Coach Boone, he didn't make those boys wear a tie and a jacket on the bus to camp because he liked a tie and a jacket. He did it because long term, he wanted people to take them seriously. He wanted to represent something in a more palatable way, because he was affecting change. And I say this because you're becoming more intuitive. Pluto going through your house and you sitting in the natural 10th house of leadership, Capricorn, this connection to spirit is giving you the phoenix rising. And in doing so, you're going to feel more peace of mind, and you're going to become much more abundant in the material world because you're making choices from a vulnerability that actually serves you. This is Archangel Gabriel up here. Archangel Gabriel rules communications in the angel deck and asked to turn over your insecurities to her, because you're being protected as you start to step into a more inspired vibration. And I want to offer it this way, because we kind of, when we describe some of these things, they feel so counterintuitive. Here is Capricorn naturally ruling government and authority. And so we look at that and we see it as repressing and as limiting, but we want leaders that actually represent openness and growth and expansion. And so here's that shift coming. So here you are. Will you make the choice to be seen for your transformation? Will you allow those around you to see you expand into the swan and to feel you rise like the phoenix? And as you do, you'll feel more abundance coming in. I don't know that I feel like that is money. It feels like a nourishment of being seen for the truth of who you are. And then Xana and the fire fairy. I used to work for this chiropractor who's a Capricorn. And, he really was like all crusty on the outside. He used to yell at me all the time and say, "Teri, whose name's on the door?" Basically telling me he's the boss. He could fire me at any time. And then he would get so emotional, and you'd see the tears in certain stories. He was he was like an M&M, crusty on the outside and soft and gushy on the inside. This is not negative. This is such a positive thing. And I think, Capricorn, you're really getting an opportunity for this evolution to take place. So as we walk through the transits of this summer solstice and these 3 personal planets, and go look at that video. I tried to put the link below. We'll see if it worked. But because I think this is a really important time this week to set that intention, to allow the expanded version of yourself to be seen by others so that it can be validated in your heart. Okay, let's go on to our Aquariuses. Oops. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. I just watched Grease yesterday. Oh my goodness. It's so weird to watch, movies from my childhood, and we're all so much older now. Anyway, Aquarius. Ooh, fun. Look at that. We have the 9 of Pentacles. Somewhere your hard work will start paying off. This is a little snail right here. And I'm a snail saver. I always pick them up and put them off the sidewalk so they don't get squished. But this is where this character, she's Venusian. You can see the Venus all over her garb, her robe. She has working with her demons, working with her whatever's been hidden before. I say that because of the falcon. And there's her bounty, which she created. So I really, really want Aquarius to start to focus in on receiving not at a snail's pace, but at a steady pace. That slow, steady, it'll always be in there. Whatever you're bringing into the material world, let's see what that is. Oh, me too. I was in a group called Toonsmiths, and I actually was Cinderella. No, I was Snow White in the school play. It was also my first trauma when my dad killed me and sat there looking bored I was on stage singing, and there was my dad like this. I have that. I mean, I'm 62 years old. I was probably 12 when that happened, or 11, and it's still imprinted on my brain like nobody's business, I'll tell you. All right. Aquarius, Archangel Raphael is in the final, foundational position. Omega's in the opportunity or the obstacle. Sonia is in the angel's advice. And Daniel is in the final position. Let's see what's going on. Oh, wow. Lots of yummy nuts in there. Wow. Packed full of protein. Yeah. And to my heart, I must be true. You're the one that I want. Ooh, ooh. Okay, forget it. People in the watching the video are going to think I'm crazy. Okay. We have for our Aquariuses, the cat joining Archangel Raphael. We have the Grail Knight joining Omega. We have Sonia being joined by the Swan. And then we have Daniel being joined by the Fire Fairy. So all of a sudden, as I started to say this, I was like, oh my gosh, Saturn moves slow. And there's the snail. There could be, with Saturn transiting your house retrograde, anybody who's got this sun in the later degrees, all the way up to 18 degrees, maybe even 16 degrees, is going to feel this. I have my Chiron at 22 degrees Aquarius. And I got to tell you, this Saturn transit's been messing with my ability to move my story forward. I keep getting sort of thwarted in when I want to do things. I start to do a video. I think the construction's gone, and the construction bangs out of nowhere. They really do come randomly. But this is where I'm going with this Aquarius. Right now, I feel like the cat's not really healthy boundaries and independence, but that you have 9 lives. And there's about to be an epiphany, a healing that will allow you to feel new life. If you felt stagnant, if Saturn has felt repressive, depressive, isolating, or almost like you've been walking in quicksand, that is about to, it's like a surrendering to it in some ways. Again, the baton pass, because victory is coming. That's Omega. As you keep up the hard work of staying connected to a deeper truth. The human is so pre-wired and trained to go, 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 go. It's all goal oriented. What did you do today? Were you productive today? And it's really out of balance, because in the truth of manifestation, we have an idea, we think about the idea. Every thought is 2 thoughts. We go to the negative side. Oh, how will I get that done? And this is where we're starting to rewrite things, because the how doesn't always come immediately. Sometimes it's a baton pass to spirit, where they bring the cooperative components to your manifestation to you, to give you new life. You're about to start something new. And your job is to sort of bow down to your deeper truth here. Don't let illusion, the slowing down, get in your way, because you're transforming. And this is really where I want to take, and I want to look at Aquarius. And I'm like, here's my deceased loved one. So this is my team of angels and guides and spirits and energies watching over me. And here's the transformation from the ugly duckling to the swan. There's an inner knowing that is being stoked within all of us right now. Exactly. Ebb and flow. It's not always a constant flow is scary. A constant flow makes me feel like I'm going to be caught up in a tide and drowned. So the ebb and the flow works, because here we have Daniel, the angel of marriage, but more than anything, he talks about our history in relationships. And here is the fire fairy, having creative action and thinking positively, or thinking, giving life, that there's new life. So let me offer it this way, because I don't think that this is about a marriage. I think this is about Aquarius bringing into the material world the things that they want to experience, not only for themselves, but for humanity. The Aquarius rules the collective. It rules the internet. It doesn't necessarily rule the information that goes over the internet, but the internet, the web itself. And I feel like we look at that and we forget that it also rules our personal hopes and desires. It's a upachaya house of money. So Aquarius, I think there's a moment here where if you're feeling Saturn inadvertently repressing you, or you're not sure why you feel this way, you just feel, ugh, you know what? It's okay. There's an inspiration coming. And I think part of it right now is an opportunity not to get too locked down in what should I do? Where should I go? How should I be? And just take it 1 minute at a time. Am I making a choice based on my history, or am I making a choice based on what I want to experience? Okay. Let's go on to our Pisces, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Yes, Lucy Rose, anxiety is the forefront of intuition, because intuition will tell you something that is against the norm. So when we get used to the idea that that's okay, then it doesn't have to produce so much anxiety. Also, often I find that the anxiety that comes in through our intuition is an inner knowing that somebody else isn't going to like our choice. And we have to decide if their happiness is more important than our own happiness. Because oftentimes, if we give up our happiness for someone else, inadvertently, we create resentment for that other person or situation. Okay, Pisces, we have the Queen of Wands, the Queen of Inspiration, the Queen of Fire. The Queen, she's a very loving lady. Very loving lady. And I can't help but look at that black cat today and feel like it's a little magical cat that's coming from Halloween time. I don't know why, but I feel like that cat has a lot of power. Now, we know that this lady rules Leo, but I'm not going with Leo here. I'm going because that cat is a black cat. So let's look and see what the Queen of Wands wants you to know about inspiration, about fire giving life. Let's see. I need to take a sip of my drink. Yes, I think she's a magical kitty. Cats don't hang out with things that don't love them unless they're trapped in a house and can't get out. But if you have a cat and you don't treat it well and it can get away from you, it will. And I kind of like that about cats. Okay. Our first angel is Ariel. The second is Patience. The third is Xana. And the final is Shanti. Very interesting. When Ariel comes up and talks about new psychic and spiritual experiences changing the way you view yourself, in my head, I kind of think of it as I have put intentional thought into a situation. And as a result of that focus, I can see the law of attraction starting to bring the components into place. And then I, as Teri, can see myself. How willing am I to allow this in? Because there's things that I have wanted that I'm actually afraid to let in. So let's see. Ariel's being joined by the Bee card. Patience is being joined by the Lady of the Lake. Xana is being joined by the Swan. And Shanti's being joined by the Love card. Pisces, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. I also want to say this to you, because the Queen representing the fire signs, two of those fire signs, well, actually all three of them represent leadership in some way. Sagittarius rules leadership in the form of priests and judges. We see Aries rule leadership in the form of generals and military soldiers and firemen and rescue workers. We see Leo, the king of all. So I want to offer it this way, because now I'm seeing Pisces embracing their intuition, their inner knowing, in a way where they're standing in more leadership for themselves as the queen. And I think this is where your victory comes in, because sometimes Pisces is a little bit too mutable and inadvertently gives their power away. And here is now a time to observe your own sense of courage, your own sense of self-respect. And I want to offer it this way, because I always think of the Lady of the Lake as having this sort of storm between my mind and my heart. It's a tug. It's like my heart wants to do one thing. My mind is telling me to do something else. And yet in the middle of it, not only is she holding that sword with the lightest touch, that red ribbon is right underneath it, which is the base chakra. So somewhere I need to be honoring of the truth that is really the essence of who I am. The essence of that I need to stand in order to feel secure in this world. I need to be in my truth. And now I see Xana protecting my intuitive body, protecting my evolution as I go from the ugly duckling to the swan. And if we look at this swan is taking flight. The wings are still closed together. They're not out here quite yet, but this is very, very important for Pisces at this time, because if you truly want to feel loved, Pisces, and to feel peaceful, you have to be part of the equation. And I say it this way because, there's so many variables in the chart. Right now, we're talking about rising, moon, sun, and if there's a stellium. Pisces is the 12th house. It's the house where we go before we go back into the collective. It is a house of meditation, a house of retreat within oneself, reflection. So as you allow yourself to do this and to look at, am I being there for myself? Am I honoring what I need as a self? Or am I too busy being too empathetic to another? Being too willing to give up my power to another so that I don't feel them rustle up against that or argue with me. Because I feel like for you to truly feel the peace that you want is to trust a bigger connection. And if there is a disruption, to give your power away so that the disruption will stop is not the answer. The answer is to hold ever so calmly and watch yourself as you hold your truth, because you will transform as a result of it, and you will see that you're being protected. I go back to that conversation with that person the other day, my friend. I really believe this is a life or death situation here. And I could not, in all honesty, let him kill himself or hurt himself in some way without me going to bat for him. But that going to bat for him wasn't feeling sorry for him. And kind of Pisces does that, feels a little sorry for people. And I think if you look at it from a real spiritual point of view, we are all co-creators in our lives. So does feeling sorry for that person help them? Or seeing the best version of them and holding space for that helps them. And then you do you. You take care of you. Well, Lucy Rose, I want to say this. I don't know how old you are, but time on the planet will make you be a little bit apathetic. And I don't know if apathy is really true, but when we realize we're all co-creators, I didn't appear very sympathetic to this person, but I might have appeared actually apathetic because I'm like, you're creating your own crap. I'm not, you're making those choices. So I agree with you, but for Pisces, I think they have a little bit harder time sometimes. And if you have Pisces energy, you might have some strong dynamics supporting a more intentional version of that. But if you've got squares, you've got Saturn sitting on you somewhere on your sun, you may feel really, really kind of like, I must do this. I must give up my power to someone else. And I don't think that you need to do that anymore. So let's use this new, this summer solstice, this idea of these three personal planets, Mars, Gemini, Mercury, and Venus all being in their domicile, to bring these together. 3 is a very high vibrational number of teaching and of implementing into the world. I feel like, Ruth, that was a very motivating thought for me. I remember when I turned 50, I kept saying, if I don't, I was always a someday I'm going to do this, someday I'm going to do that. And when I turned 50, I thought, oh, damn, someday is today. Today. I got to do it today. And then that's when I really started to pay attention to my thoughts more often and started to pay attention to the branding of my brain. And then Spirit brought me more and more information to confirm that, I wasn't totally responsible for all my thoughts, that they had been given to me and this is stuck there like a tattoo. Okay. Aries, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Woo, here's the moon. Okay. The moon's interesting because this is initially, we'll say, confusion, indecision, something being foggy. And the first thing I thought when I looked at this is, oh gosh, Aries is squaring Pluto in all sorts of ways. We have, transiting Chiron and Mars about to meet. They're getting very close to one another, which could be a very big, fiery conversation about a wound. And then I thought, maybe this is really about, rather than being confused, maybe this is asking Aries to be more in their emotional body during this time versus, really trying to be more of the emoter. More, we're talking about the idea that the summer solstice always happens at the beginning of Cancer. Cancer is ruled by the moon. The moon rules nurturing. And not just the nurturing of others, but the nurturing of self. And if we are to be imbalanced, the nurturing of ourselves is as important as the nurturing of others. So I think the moon here might be about being more aware of your emotional body and not allowing these dynamics to stoke flames unconsciously. Let's see. Our first angel is Ariel. The second is Rosetta. The third is Layla. And the final is Isaiah. Yes, they are. They're the heroes of the zodiac, Aries. Nobody talks about the hero. They only talk about the warrior. I'm so over that. I become a warrior and people tell me I'm a warrior. No, I'm a hero. Okay. Ariel is being joined by the owl. Rosetta is being joined by the fire fairy. Layla is being joined by the burden card. And Isaiah is being joined by the perception card. I really think this has to do with your emotional body, Aries. And I think it's about giving life to the idea that you are exactly, Stephen. The hero's journey begins with Aries. And I always see the fool as Aries as well. But I want to offer this because I just got chills everywhere. New psychic and spiritual experiences are changing the way you view yourself and others. And now I see the owl as kind of like me. There's two sides to me. I can be very wise and I use my Aries energy very wisely. And then sometimes I don't. And the good news is that as I'm aware of the squares to Pluto, I'm really playing to the transformation. I note a dark thought or a thought where I'm angry or resentful or I want to take action in a warrior way. And then I make a choice not to do that, not to be snarky, not to make a comment, not to school everybody on their manners, because that's my big thing. My Libra gets so incensed by bad manners. So here I'm seeing the wisdom of the two sides of myself going back and forth. And it's okay because I'm a human being. And it's okay for me to go back and forth. It's okay for me not to always have the answers. It's okay for Aries to sit back and take a minute because I feel like there's the child card again, and here's positive action. This to me feels a little like an obstacle right now, to be childlike and to wait for an inspiration. Because I say that, yes, because they could be so assertive. Exactly. And we could say aggressive even. But now we see the burden card and Layla. And I feel like this is a little bit where, one of the things that Aries gets kind of called out on is not finishing anything, because they get all excited about an idea and they run towards it and they don't finish it. And if you're watching this, and I'm going to be doing my second webinar soon, I'm just trying to really make sure that construction is done. And I was waiting for the Mercury retrograde, but I'm going to announce this week anyway, because this to me feels like it's a burden to relax. I don't even know if this is about actually communing with God and the angels right now, because I feel like I'm so much in this confusion thing, this idea of yes, no. There's a weird feeling of an old pattern and a new pattern like colliding together. That's where I want to put it, because I think what Aries is getting is a new perception of oneself. And this is where I want to say, because as an Aries rising, I've thought often about the idea of aggression. I've been accused of being an aggressive, hostile human. And yes, I have been an aggressive, hostile human sometimes, but I wouldn't dumb it down. I just want to learn how to use my sword as a hero, not as a warrior. And then I go back to the idea of the peaceful warrior, like Kung Fu. I know how to use it, but I'm going to allow energy to be my guide. I'm going to not be confused by emotions, but slow down long enough to pay attention to my emotions. And in doing that, I become a much more powerful energy. Welcome to the room, JG. We are now on Taurus, and then we'll be done. I started this month on Gemini. Next month, I'm going to start with Cancer and then end with Gemini. It's my Libra sun trying to create balance when we do these. So the nastiest woman you know is an Aries. Well, I'm not saying that every sign has its light and dark shades. And that's why it's so important for us to be intentional co-creators, so we can use these vibrations in a way that serves us all instead of pulling them down. Oh, Portugal, welcome, Portugal in the house. Oh my God, I so love that area of the world. I'm fascinated by it. So happy you're here. So Cancer was my second sign. There will be timestamps thanks to Juan. He'll put timestamps in a little later, so you'll be able to watch it in the playback if you like. All right, let's go to our final sign, which is Taurus. Enjoying her last few moments of Venus being in Taurus. Let's see what our tarot card is. Ah, yay! Money, 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 money. Okay, sorry, I'm just a singing fool today. The Queen of Pentacles. This is a wonderful card. This would be Taurus energy, actually. And now I want to say that to my Tauruses. You have Uranus transiting through your sun sign. It could be your moon. It could be your rising. It could be a stellium. But anything that you have in that house will also, if you have aspects, for instance, I always think that when a planet passes over my moon, it also triggers the trines between Pluto and Venus, and then a trine up over here to Saturn. And so this is my opportunity to know that there's a ripple effect. And I bank on some of those ripple effects. So when Uranus was transiting over 9 degrees of Taurus, I was, how can I address things in my emotional body, or let my history work for me instead of tanking me? Because when I see this queen, it's time to bring what you want into the material world and to sit back and relax about it. Meaning starting to understand that, naturally Taurus rules the second house of the voice. That's not just the singing voice. It's how you speak about yourself. It's how and what you speak of, what you think of, you speak of. And what you speak of, you manifest. So I think this is an opportunity for Taurus to start to bring into this physical world some of those North Node stuff that's going through right now. And obviously Venus, money, and whatever else you enjoy in the way of possessions and things. And then to trust that everything you need and all the resources will be there. But let's see what specifically they're talking about. Taurus ascendant and Mars. So you've got, you've had Venus transiting over all of those things. Well, that would happen quite often, actually. But I think with Chiron there, you have opportunity to be liberated from whatever that wound is, or to make sense of that wound. I think the Mars energy gives you an opportunity to rewrite how Mars is perceived. Chiron 9-degree. Oh, so you're over that, Lucy Rose. You've had your Chiron addressed. And you have a big emotional wound there in Taurus. That's what that would indicate, with those 2 points being so close to each other. Okay. All right, Taurus, let me get on to your reading. Grace and Antoinette is about compassion. Yvonne is about vulnerability. Caressa is the ending of a life cycle. And Ray, this really does feel like it's like anchoring into something more solid. I was kind of looking forward to Uranus liberating me from my story and my history. And I don't know how liberated I am from it. It still sits there. But what I've found is some of the stories I tell about my dad are really focusing more on the good things that he did versus the abandonment and disinterest he perpetrated for most of my life. See how it's still there with my Taurus moon? Okay, here we go. Grace and Antoinette is really, this is beautiful, is being joined by the Fear card. We have Yvonne being joined by Merlin, Caressa being joined by the Horse, and Ray being joined by the Earth Fairy. Okay, this is what I want to say for my Taurus. Rising Moon, Sun, and Stelliums. Hey, Joe Schmo, good to see you in the room. Welcome back. I believe that you are going to start to have a little bit more compassion as you walk through and identify where fears have inadvertently, and I'm not talking about your normal fears, the ones you know off the top of your head. I'm talking about the fears that are attached to your history, your family history, the fears that you don't even realize you have, because since you were a little beanpole, you've been told something about yourself and it may not be true anymore. And now you're ready to face everything and rise and have compassion as you empower yourself. Because I think there is a reconciliation, a justice, a karmic alchemy that comes from your own vulnerability. And that would be this. Taurus would be, because Taurus is ruled by Venus. Okay, so there is this little bit, it's always going to be a vulnerability. Am I beautiful enough? Do I have enough possessions? And how are other people perceiving me? There's a little bit of that there. Now, I think what's happening is Taurus is starting to say, I do care. I care about what happened before, but now I care more about what I feel right now. And I don't want to be trapped by those fears anymore. I don't want to keep like with this bullish tenacity proving why I don't deserve anymore, because I do deserve. Because now I think as having compassion for your own fears, knowing that was okay. It's okay to be afraid every once in a while. It's okay to have fears you don't even know you have, because I'm becoming more powerful and more magical as I recognize them and I see the vulnerability they stoke in me. And now I can literally engage spirit and go in a new direction and change everything, turn it around. I really believe that so many people, when I had Uranus going through my rising sign through Aries, it's what liberated me into being Teri today. So as I watch Uranus make aspects throughout my chart, because Uranus made a trine aspect to both Pluto and Venus when it hit my moon. So that's where I was talking about it hitting the grand trines. So unexpected things happened, but I was also liberated from an old story, but the story didn't go away. It just wasn't pulling me under and holding me to it anymore. So that's what I think happens. I look at Ray here and I see Taurus connecting to spirit. And now what has happened in this earthly experience is now being transformed for you. So I want to say it this way for my Tauruses and for everybody, but on this particular solstice, when your ruling planet Venus is at 28 degrees of Taurus, 28 being the emotive and intuitive Cancerian degree, 28 being reducing down to a 1, which is my thought degree, and allowing myself the privilege of saying, it's okay that I thought this for this long. But you know what? Now I'm going to liberate myself and say, what if that was then and this is now? Because I believe more abundance is coming for you. I believe that as we go through this access, because we got to know that Taurus, wherever your wherever Taurus is, the South Node is in Scorpio, asking you to be egoless to a spiritual dynamic of transformation. That spiritual dynamic is not about God deciding you are good enough to have possessions, but your focus and applying the universal laws, applying the laws of ebb and flow, of constant change, of sort of this idea that when I put a thought out there, I'm not the only one creating it. My job sometimes is just to hold in this space until spirit shows me, go left, go right, or stay, because there's something better coming and we're aligning it to you. All right. That's it for this week. I'm going to do something a little odd. I'm going to do a little video on Ray Liotta's crossing, because I got to tell you, astrologically, it kind of excited me in some ways to see it. I'm not excited that he passed away, but he's played Shoeless Joe Jackson in one of my favorite movies, Field of Dreams, which is again why I kind of want to talk about this, because I think it's really powerful. And it's not about focusing in on the idea of death, but about seeing how because I believe the soul has opportunities to exit in various stages of the life experience when it gets hard. And there may be something about this particular stage that opened things up, because he was great in Goodfellas too. Exactly. And we as viewers are engaged in the process. So anyway, but thank you. And I want to say thank you to JG. Thank you. I haven't been on Lotta's channel. I left a little while, and then she had all that just disruption. So I kind of think Spirit might have been giving me a heads up without me realizing it. But I'm here now every Sunday, and I'm trying to produce more content during the week. I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to venture into more classes, but I just got to get over this Saturn transit over Chiron. There's a little bit of dragging my feet there. So, but I'll be back next week, everybody, with more Traversing the Transits with Teri, and with Small, and with Juan. And I hope you all have a really great week. Be good to yourself on the solstice. If you're in the Southern Hemisphere, it's just, while winter seems to be at the end of something, I also think it's a time to really sit back and look at the beauty of what the winter has to offer as we let go of the old and make way for the spring and the newness of our lives. If you have an empty house, look for the ruler of that house and where it's located. They'll give you an indication. Okay, everybody, if you'd like to get a reading with me, my information is below. I'm available for astrology readings, intuitive readings, coaching, whatever you need. I'm here for you. And in the meantime, I'll see you next week. Have a great week, everybody. Be good to yourself. And when you're good to yourself, you're good to everybody else. Peace out.